Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you are new here, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Apple, Spotify, or Google, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It supports the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything. This content is brought to you by Uphold, which is a great platform that I've been using for years. In fact, I've been using it since 2017 to buy, sell, trade crypto. They also have precious metals and equities that you can buy and sell on this platform. They have 10 plus million users, 250 plus cryptocurrencies, and they're available in 150 countries. As with all exchanges, you can buy and sell on them, but I highly recommend you custody your own crypto, not your keys, not your coins. If you'd like to learn more, please visit the link in the description. All right, my friends, we got some big updates around the SEC Ripple lawsuit. Ripple today filed a letter regarding a recent Supreme Court case that supports Ripple's fair notice defense. This opinion strongly supports defendants' fair notice defense, that's a quote, because the government's prior guidance appears to contradict its present litigating position. This is very interesting. And remember, whether you hold XRP or not, whether you love or hate Ripple, that doesn't matter. What matters, we need Ripple to win. And this fair notice defense is key for the entire crypto market because other projects can use this too. Cardano, you name it, whatever project, right? They can use that fair notice defense. The SEC has not put out clear guidance. And, in Ripple's example, they've been around for years. And then the SEC decided to come and file a lawsuit, even after Ripple settled with FinCEN and other government agencies. So the SEC is a mess, right? We've been talking about it. Gary Gensler is trying to go after everything. He wants to put everything under the securities umbrella. He's trying to get his pound of flesh from whenever or wherever he can from whichever company and whichever project. It is a mob shakedown type of activity that he's doing. It's not in good faith. He's not trying to help the market or help retail investors. So, of course, folks were speculating, hey, why all of a sudden is Ripple filing this, right? Because it seemed like everything was filed already. Well, we have some attorneys, Jeremy Hogan and John Deaton, that weighed in. So first, Jeremy Hogan said Ripple just filed a strong case supporting its fair notice defense. Strong because it comes from the U.S. Supreme Court and states that regular-ish people like you and me need to have guidance and know what the law/rules are before we are sued. So this, once again, really important, not just for Ripple or XRP, but for the entire crypto market. Now, attorney John Deaton weighed in. He said a lot of people are speculating on why Ripple would file this now. Some people are saying it's because Ripple knows it will lose or because they're less confident. It's a very simple reason why it was filed. The decision is from the Supreme Court and it was handed down only 4 days ago. He continues here saying Judge Torres could possibly file her decision at any moment, or it could be 2 months longer. The point is, this isn't a decision from a federal district court or even an appellate court or circuit court. This is a U.S. Supreme Court decision decided on February 28th, 2023, 4 days ago. The Supreme Court's decision is relevant regarding one of Ripple's affirmative defenses. The lack of fair notice violates the due process clause in or of the United States Constitution. People overthink and try to look for reasons other than the obvious one. Essentially, Judge Gorsuch, if I'm saying that right, elaborated on the requirement under the due process clause for the government to provide fair notice of what is prohibited. So this fair notice defense is key, my friends. I can't overemphasize that. It's so important, and a lot of crypto companies and projects can use this. Here's a statement or a quote that John tweeted. As in Bittner, the government's prior guidance appears to contradict its present litigating position. And as in Bittner, many experienced securities law practitioners and industry participants were unable to anticipate the government's current theory. And what was great, guys, what we saw, just in the past, let's say 4 to 5 months, is that a lot of different crypto companies like Coinbase and so forth started putting out amicus briefs to support Ripple in the lawsuit. So a lot of crypto companies going against the SEC, a lot of advocacy groups like the Chamber of Digital Commerce and the Blockchain Association and so forth. John says, that's the reason it was filed so late. If Judge Torres finds that Ripple offered and sold XRP as a security, this Supreme Court decision gives Ripple's fair notice argument a few more teeth. Finally, he says here, I've already went on the record to say that I have no doubt Ripple wins before this current Supreme Court. The West Virginia versus EPA case alone is reason to believe Ripple wins. The recent decision is icing on the cake. So all around great news, not just for Ripple and XRP holders, but for the entire crypto market, because imagine Ripple getting this win, right? And sets the precedence for these other crypto companies and projects that Gary may go after. We know he's trying to go after everything: NFTs, stablecoin, staking, you name it, exchanges, projects. So they can also try to use that fair notice defense, guys. So it is so critical for Ripple to win. And I'm hoping they do, not just because I'm biased and I'm an XRP holder, but I also hold other tokens. I want to see the clarity be put out in the market. And if Ripple were to win, I think they're going to really shine a light on the SEC's hypocrisy, the ethics violations. We know the SEC does not want Bill Hinman's documents out there because of the conflicts of interest with the Ethereum Foundation. And it's just going to expose the SEC on multiple levels. So we need this victory. We need Gary Gensler to take a big fat L and to be stopped. And, with that big L, this is a high profile case. There's going to be a lot of media coverage, a lot of people taking victory laps, rightfully so, because Gary's been taking his victory laps, right? Going on TV as soon as, the SEC gets some sort of settlement, trying to paint a picture that he's doing his job, but he's really not. And I think we got to drum up as much noise once this thing wraps up and Ripple wins. That's not a guarantee, of course, that they're going to have the victory. I personally think they will win, but let's see how things pan out. But yeah, I think we're seeing the scales here. The scale is tipping in Ripple's favor with these different little victories, right? Like, for example, this item here with the fair notice defense. So this is really big. Now, Grayscale is suing the SEC, and here we got an update that oral arguments are scheduled for Tuesday in Grayscale's lawsuit against the SEC regarding converting GBTC into a spot ETF. Nate Geraci tweeted out the following statements about it. He says he agrees with the arguments, and by the way, he's the president of ETF Store. He says, here's a preview of Grayscale's lead counsel's basic argument, which I agree with. Let me give you guys a quick rundown. You have a situation in which the SEC has decided to give approval to Bitcoin futures ETFs and came to the conclusion that various mechanisms in place to detect fraud and manipulation were strong enough that this was an ETF that could get approval. And then they turned around, and despite the existence of the same exact protections with respect to spot market ETFs, they disapproved the spot market ETF. And it's just a classic case of taking like cases and treating them differently. And it really comes through when you lay it side by side. The order that the SEC issued approving a Bitcoin futures ETF and the order in case disapproving our spot ETF, they just contradict each other. And that's the case, or the essence of our case. Although we're in a very technical area that lay people don't really have a deep understanding of, that basic principle is quite straightforward. I think anybody can understand that. So absolutely, guys, we've talked about this. And I even call out the Bitcoin maxis who think Gary is their friend, like Michael Saylor and Max Kaiser, who kiss Gary's ass, right? They brown nose the hell out of Gary. They probably suck him off if they could. He is not trying to help Bitcoiners. He may say Bitcoin is not a security, but he has not approved a spot ETF, the thing that could help Bitcoin do really well. He is trying to slow down Bitcoin, crypto, everything, so that the incumbents can come take a position. And it's clear, right? If he was really a Bitcoiner, right? Like, he's I'm all for Bitcoin, everything else is security, he would approve a Bitcoin spot ETF. But he doesn't want to approve it for Grayscale. He wants to approve it for JP Morgan and BlackRock, right? That's the game that's at play here, my friends. I know I say it a lot, but it's pretty clear. I've talked to people, and Gary's a old-fashioned Wall Street bankster, and he's a Goldman Sachs guy, and he is doing their bidding. It's so clear what's happening here, putting up these roadblocks. And I'm going to share an example with Jay Clayton later on in the podcast here, where he and even Bill Himman, they're working at crypto companies. So clearly they understand the technology. They're bullish. They believe it's here to stay. They know this is just a slowdown. And Jay Clayton is the one who filed a lawsuit against Ripple and ran out the door, right? These things are not a coincidence, or they just happened, out of the blue. A lot of it is an agenda, right? There's a theme here. Now, speaking of themes, there's a lot of FUD being put out there. Now there's another round of Tether FUD. So Wall Street Journal, they put out an article here saying crypto companies behind Tether use falsified documents and shell companies to get bank accounts. Tether Holdings and related crypto broker obscured identities, documents show. Well, the folks at Tether came out swinging and they were like, no, that's FUD. And look, the Wall Street Journal has put out some, hit pieces out there on CZ, Binance, and so forth, but a lot of it is just unfounded. They just say, well, this source said this or this, but there's no proof. Now, if there's proof, you got the facts, I'm on board. I'm for facts, but you can't just say this happened and this person said this. You got to show proof. So the folks at Tether put out a statement right away saying the Wall Street Journal's report about state allegations from long ago is wholly inaccurate and misleading. Bitfinex and Tether have world-class compliance programs and adhere to applicable anti-money laundering, know your customer, and counter-terrorist financing legal requirements. Bitfinex and Tether are proud partners of global law enforcement and routinely and voluntarily assist the United States Department of Justice and other law enforcement organizations across the world in preventing money laundering, terrorism, and other crimes of bad actors. These unfair attacks will not distract us from continuing with those efforts and offering the most liquid and reliable stablecoin experience, which the market has clearly recognized by making us the leaders in the industry. So glad they came out and addressed this. That's important, right? That they're not staying quiet or hiding. I think that's really key in transparency. And there's different members of Bitfinex and Tether, like the CTO, Paulo Ardinio, if I'm saying his name right. He said, love the obsession for Twitter. I hope Wall Street Journal will not start asking Tether for rent. So far, we live rent-free in their minds. So it's interesting. And then, here we got the Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker. He kind of summarized it well. He said, crypto's number one bank, Silvergate, goes down. So many of you know about Silvergate. Forbes puts out an unsubstantiated FUD article on Binance. Wall Street Journal releases a negative piece on Tether, all in a week. Fair to say we are in the then they fight you phase, which I've been saying for months now. They are fighting, guys. They ignored us, they laughed at us, and now they're fighting because disruption is at their door. It's moving very fast, but the tech is here to stay. They can't stop it. They're going to slow it down, but they can't stop it. This global technology and asset class is moving ahead. Now, speaking of moving ahead, look at this, guys. Coinbase has made a strategic acquisition of One River Digital Asset Management. I'm sure many of you have heard One River Digital Asset Management. Why? Our friend Jay Clayton was there after he left the SEC, after he ran out the door of the SEC, on his last days filing the Ripple lawsuit. And I'm going to talk about him and some other things. But this acquisition marks the formation of Coinbase Asset Management and will enable additional institutional access to the crypto economy. So bullish news, really great. I know folks are angry at Jay Clayton, but you don't need to be angry at One River or even the Ethereum folks. It's not them, it's the SEC. Because if the SEC couldn't be compromised, if these people at the SEC couldn't be compromised, there would be no issue, right? It could have been another company besides One River Digital. It could have been another crypto project that did the whole ethics thing with Bill Hinman and so forth. So don't think about the asset in these crypto companies and investment firms. Rather, if the SEC officials had integrity, if they were actually abiding by the rules and laws that they swore an oath to do and uphold the U.S. Constitution and so forth, then there's no way anybody could come in and bribe and do anything, right? So it falls on Jay Clayton, it falls on Gary Gensler, it falls on Bill Hinman and the SEC. That's who your anger and your frustration should be against, because they're the ones that are compromised. So I know some people were like, "Oh, One River Asset," but One River Digital, they're just a company. And the way it works in DC, it's legalized bribery, right? Now, Bill Hinman took it to another level with ethics violations and that. Look, I believe Jay Clayton too, because One River Asset Management, they were investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and Jay Clayton files a lawsuit, runs out the door, and XRP is a competitor to Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? As far as market cap, and they were the top 3 at one point. So this is a situation, but this is bullish news. This is a big acquisition by Coinbase, and clearly they said here it adds additional institutional access to the crypto economy, more capital flowing into the market, my friends. And that's what we want, right? And we're here early, so we know that asset prices are going to rise with more investments and adoption and real world use cases and so forth and utility. Well, speaking of Jay Clayton, Representative French Hill, he tweeted out, "I was delighted to host former CFTC Commissioner Don Stump and former SEC Chairman Jay Clayton at the Digital Asset Subcommittee meet and greet I organized this week." So, all feelings and emotion about Jay Clayton to the side. The fact that Jay Clayton is still in the crypto circles shows you, clear as day, this thing is here to stay. And also validates that Gary Gensler and the SEC's agenda to slow down this asset class is to allow the incumbents to come take a position, right? Because Jay Clayton didn't just leave and go retire or go work for TradFi. The man went to crypto, right? Firms that are supporting crypto. So did Bill Hinman. And we've seen other folks do that. They know the tech is here to stay. They know the asset class is here to stay. But it's slowing down, causing confusion, throwing a monkey wrench in the system, not to kill it, just to slow it down and drive the values down so these big players can come in. So I'm going to try to get an interview with Representative French Hill, but you see, Clayton is still in the mix here with crypto and digital assets, my friends. And here, Attorney John Deaton, he shared some similar thoughts. He said, "We're going to see a lot more strategic combinations." And this is Clayton said in the interview. "Traditional financial players are starting to think about acquisitions of distributed ledger or blockchain companies." So clearly, Clayton, right, bullish on the tech and the asset. And John said, "Just as I said on Charles B. Payne and on Fox, and I discussed, crush crypto so legacy players can buy." That's what's at play here, my friends. Now, final item regarding Coinbase's crypto base or build on base that they launched, Chainlink, which I am super bullish on. I hold link in my portfolio in full disclosure. They tweeted out today, they said, "Build on Base by Coinbase has integrated Chainlink data feeds on testnet and is joining the Chainlink Scale program. Base is covering the operating costs of Chainlink services to empower devs, drive ecosystem growth, and support network sustainability." Guys, I am so bullish on Chainlink. I'm not telling you to go invest in it. Do your own research, but I'm sharing the facts of the adoption, and so many blockchains are using Chainlink's oracles and their tech, guys. This is one of the projects I'm very bullish on for the future. I think they're going to do really well. I continue to DCA into it. Once again, not financial advice. Please do your own research. Go read, spend 10 hours, understand what Chainlink is doing, who's they're partnering, what are the use cases, and so on and so forth. All right, guys, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below, and I will talk to you all later.